We will bring a mic, and we will also check the question from the pad, so we will try to alternate between the audience and the pad. So let's start. So if you have a question, just raise your hand. No question?
We'll start with a question.
We have a
from
question there.
Pat. One of the interesting questions that I see here is, what is the biggest mistake that you see developers
we don't
make
hear it.
because you don't have. Okay, then.
No, you have to come here. Huh? Yeah, it's a bit improvised.
So, one of the interesting questions on the list is, what are the biggest mistakes that you see developers make when customizing Odoo?
Oh, of course, that's an easy one. So, the customers wants, usually he has an ID, sometimes he uses software before, and he doesn't want to change, so he wants to adapt Odoo to his way of working. And I'm not the only one to say that, SAP would say the same. The better thing is to adapt the company to the software when it's possible, and to avoid to make premature customization. You know, we say in computer science that premature optimization is the root of all evil. So I think premature customization is also the root of all evil when you do a project. So do the minimum, refuse to customize stuff where there is a workaround, and then after, if it's really needed, the stuff will come and then you will do the customization, but you should not make unnecessary customization. Because when you do a customization, you think you just pay one time for the development, but no, it's a liability that you contract and that you will have to maintain. So the biggest mistake is to make customization, and it's not the mistake that the developer makes, it's the mistake that the project manager accepts something. Okay, another question maybe live from the audience?
There was a question on the side there, I think.
Question there? Mais nous on les entend pas.
So I had my question.
But we don't hear them.
On the pad of
yes,
the question
we need
you just answered.
No.
No, we don't have the return.
We don't have the return?
Mais on devrait l'entendre où ça?
Hello?
Hey,
yes?
Sorry, we have no return for your question yet.
Yeah. Yeah? Oh, yes, I think we hear something.
Oh, okay. So you were actually already answered my question, but I also have a second question. Are there any development courses or training outside of smart classes that Odoo offers?
Can we put it louder? So the question was, is
development.
there some other training that
outside of smart classes?
paid training? I don't think so. I think for some partners, sometimes they organize custom training, but I'm not aware of that.
I think the PS Tech is doing some training.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think we have some training programs, but even
it's for
Anton doesn't know about them.
So I don't know much about it.
I'm pretty sure we have some programs, but I don't know exactly.
And
not really from R&D, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, question.
The next interesting question that we have here is, does Odoo use or plan to use artificial intelligence technologies and algorithms in its solutions?
Did you understand? No, we don't hear you.
Which question was that? Sorry.
It's the green, artificial intelligence question. So does you do that with the green?
Yes and no. So yes, if we have a real use case. Like maybe this morning you saw the presentation of Fabien, we use GPT to generate content in the text editor and the website builder. We have OCR algorithm to try to scan invoices and encode them. So when there is a real and clear business case, we would use it. But we will not use it just for the sake of using artificial intelligence, because it's a cool technology. Of course it's a cool technology, but we will only use it if we have a real use case.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm a developer in a PS Tech department. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna answer the question from before. So in terms of training, the PS Tech sometimes provides training for partners. which you can sign up for. Just you need to ask a business analyst or
Ouais.
a salespeople to just follow the training. Usually it's done for a company and sometimes for individuals as well. And most of the time it's for customizations, but also for development as well. But I would say if you don't know Odoo at all, you can follow the technical training,
Yeah.
which is pretty well made. And it's even got, if I'm not mistaken, it got an upgrade this year. So I would say it's a very good starting point to just follow the tutorial for both the back end and the front end as well.
Yeah. And if I had to invest, I prefer investing in the material itself than doing a service with training, because once you've done the material, everybody can use it. Even community partners, people, that are not paying. Yes.
The next question is
Okay.
about performance. Most customers have smaller databases. This runs into performance issues while searching if you have millions and millions of partners. Are there plans to make Odoo fit for large databases?
I was not loud enough. Did you? Which one is it?
Maybe
This
you
one?
can show line numbers and then
Ouais.
refer to the numbers.
Most customers have smaller database. Some issue searching many to one field. It's a technical question. Finally, this performance issue. If you have 1 million, yeah, I think that's when you resolve domain. Yeah, so that's for you.
Yes, the one for REST partners is quite inefficient, and we want to improve it. And well, we plan to do it, but not now. Maybe in the next version. But yes, it's a good question.
Yeah,
Well,
but but explain why there is the issue, because maybe people don't understand. When you resolve a domain and then you have to put.
Yes, but it's REST partners, and it's because we have a customization on name search of REST partners, which is very slow
Yeah.
in the stable, and then we need to address this issue, and maybe
Okay. So
years.
Okay. So it's just a fix.
Yeah, it's just a fix actually.
But actually, we did already some changes that maybe are interesting. Is basically Odoo is still a database management system, a glorified way to change the data or query the data. And when you are searching on a many-to-one field, you're just looking for results in a table, and so the efficiency of the query is going to be also relying on the database and the indexes that you configure in the database. So there are many ways to improve this with an existing Odoo system. We do that all the time for our own Odoo.com database, which is becoming gigantic. Like currently it's 1 terabyte of data, and the tables like
REST partner, it's
partners
huge.
is really huge. We have millions and millions of records, so of course getting efficient results is not easy. And we use custom indexes that you can configure. It's really normally a DBA job. It's a full-time job to create, to manage the performance of a database. So we create specific trigram gene types of indexes to optimize the search on text without using the full text specific types of columns in Postgres. And recently in the framework we have introduced a way for your custom code to also benefit by default from these types of indexes, instead of just having index true or false, which uses the simple B-tree type of index, which is not possible to use for a full text search on the name of a partner, for instance. You cannot use a B-tree index for that. Now you can use a gene index, so it's indexed gene trigram.
Trigram index.
Trigram index. So it's a special inverted index that is very well suited for searching on text. And a good improvement there as well is also a variant of the B-tree index that is called B-tree not null, I think, that is going to
Not
create
null,
a
not
partial
null
index.
Yeah.
Right, and partial indexes are very efficient also, because when the table is very long, the index is still going to be proportional to the size of the table, so the index may be very long as well. But if you know that you will only match a very small percentage of the table with your index, you can make a partial index that is very cheap to maintain. So these are improvements in the framework that are already in version 6.17.
I want to do this
and
one.
that you can use to benefit from Boost. Do you have a follow-up question on that?
The gentleman here was first.
Yeah, I would. So if there is no question, I would like to.
Toto, yeah,
okay.
there is
Follow up on
another
that. Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I have two questions. They are on the launchpad, but I will read them out loud. So the first one is, are you considering moving towards zero downtime deployments?
Zero what?
Zero downtime deployment.
Yeah, because the trends are, because of the CI/CD, everybody wants to have smaller and smaller.
You mean for Odoo
downtime.
SH?
For Odoo itself, not only Odoo SH.
No, for the upgrades.
Yeah, for
we
the upgrade.
Yeah, for the upgrades. No, not yet.
Yeah, I think it's a really difficult
And for example,
issue.
we upgrade our main database every quarter,
every
2 months. And we have a downtime of like 1 hour every 2 months.
2 hours.
Yeah, okay.
And just a small second question is there any kind of tool for tracking the workers on Odoo, so you know if they are stuck, they are not working or something like that?
Workers that are deadlocked.
You mean
Yeah.
the HTTP workers that handle the request for inside Odoo, right?
Yeah,
Is there a tool to monitor them?
to monitor if they're all being used and Odoo is stuck, but you don't know the application load is 0, but the Odoo is stuck. So you
Yeah,
can check
actually
if all
we have it.
the workers are stuck. So you would consider upgrading your infrastructure and having
Yeah,
more workers in that case.
We when there are deadlocks on the SaaS, we have something that detects them, no?
Yes, we have custom monitoring tools that we use on the SaaS to perform this, but there are mechanisms that you can use to detect the unusual situations like workers being stuck, for instance. But first, you need to use the tools of the operating system to look at the processes. If you are using Odoo in multi-process mode, you can see the different processes in the as a real operating system jobs, and you can look at the percentage of CPU that they are using, if they are being used or not, and then compare this with the resources of the machine to know if you have enough workers or if they are idle. You can look at that, and if you monitor the response time of Odoo through the processing time of the requests, and the requests are being processed very fast and your workers seem to be behaving fine, then you can see if they're mostly idle, you know that maybe you are you have too many workers committed, and maybe you can scale a bit down. But if you want to know if they are stuck, you can also look at that by using signals that you can send to the Odoo master process, and they are going to dump in the logs the state of the different workers, so you can know what each worker is doing. Most of them, if they're idle, should be just waiting for a connection. So you will see that in the traces that are put in the logs. This is, I think, explained in the documentation.
Yeah.
Basically, you send the hub you send a quit signal to it's signal 3, I think. It doesn't shut down Odoo. It just instructed to dump the state of the workers. So that's what we do. But on the SaaS of Odoo, we never need to do that. We just look at the response time of the application to determine if the workers are answering the request fast enough. And if the response time starts to increase, it means something is wrong, and then we can look or just restart the workers if we want to do some unattended healing of the system, like during the night or something like that. We can do automatic actions like that.
Okay, the question I wanted to take is the one about WK HTML to PDF. I say it in French, that's the way we pronounce it. So, because every year I get this question, and every year I don't know what to answer, but this time I know what to answer. And the question is, no, we don't plan to replace WK HTML to PDF, we plan to keep it. But the good news is that we plan to maintain it. We will take over the maintenance of it to make sure it works. And the reason is that there is no alternative. We looked around and there is no viable alternative. There are some alternatives, but either they are very slow or, and so we think we need to continue to use it. But because we need to continue to use it, we will take over the maintenance and fix it and make it evolve. So that's the good news.
Yeah, because we are every year we are looking at all the alternatives like Wheezy Print and all these things, and they always have shortcomings in terms of features that we need or
spawning
speed
Chrome.
or so we are every year we are trying to to replace it.
But now we have a guy who said, I would like to do some C++, so we say to him, okay, take over the maintenance of WKHTML to PDF, and he's happy to do it. He doesn't know what he signed for, but he's happy to do it. Okay, question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you had a question there.
It was a follow-up question about the earlier
yes.
question.
It was my question: is the smaller, bigger databases before? Some further question to this. Are there possibilities to add some special trigram index or so on in the Odoo model? So the regular, if I said index true, it's a P tree, I think.
Yeah, but
so that's what
it is already there, actually.
So that's what
is
they
already
explained.
there.
When you define an index, you can define different type of index. Before it was like just a Boolean.
But not in 14, right? Not in Odoo 14. Right?
No, not in Odoo 14. No, since Odoo 17.
Yeah, 17.
17, yes.
So since today.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, since today. Actually, it was merged a few months ago, but yeah, since recently. Yeah.
We have another one from the pad.
Can
Why
you
is-
speak?
Yeah.
Non mais,
I'll come closer to you.
non mais parle plus près du micro, c'est tout. Et dis le numéro de la ligne.
They're not numbered. Yeah, wait. Number 20.
Okay.
So why is Odoo SH still using PostgreSQL 14.9? Are there any plans to upgrade to a newer version?
Yes, there is plan to upgrade to the new version. I don't know why. I have to check what's the
It's 14.
LTS because they are using 2004 or 2204.
22 and
22.
it's 14.
Okay, so the reason they use it
I
is
think.
because that's the one linked to the LTS Ubuntu version.
I think yes.
And we stay with the LTS, so we follow the LTS of Ubuntu. So if Ubuntu is supporting this one, we stay with this one.
So my question is just around the point of sale module.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful module. It's very nice to look at.
Yeah.
But we have found serious inconsistencies, especially when there is communication in between the point of sale side to the back to the back office.
To the back end when
To
you
the
send
back end.
when you send back the orders.
Exactly, and I'm talking about using Odoo, vanilla Odoo,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
customizations or anything of the sort. Why is that?
Okay, but
sometimes
to
you can-
explain precisely what's the bug or what
the
problem.
scenarios are, I mean, you're able to generate, like, for example, an order,
Yeah.
a kitchen order ticket.
It's about the forum. No, but neglected. Yeah, that's the term. So there was not many tasks about the forum. The only one this year was we changed the template, making look nicer. But in terms of functionality, we didn't do much. So we have to discuss with Luc about what's planned for the forum or François. And yeah, that's something we would like to add. But Luc was very busy doing knowledge, so he neglected forum. Huh?
I think the question 24 is kind of a follow-up.
And the question 24, what's not publishing a roadmap. The reason is that actually it's quite chaotic, our roadmap, to be honest. So at the moment, if you ask me now, what is the plan for V18? We have no plan yet. We have some ideas about some stuff, but we have no fixed plan, and we will start to make the plan after Odoo experience. But the idea is that we will improve our existing application mainly, and those improvements, if you look at the release notes of this year, there is a lot of small improvement and polish, and those come during also the year. So that's the reason we don't publish it, because we don't have really a clear roadmap. There are some stuff where usually we have an idea, but it's quite chaotic, and we prefer not publish it, because I think you would not find something very useful in the roadmap. But if you have something that you think we should do, it's the time for those 3 days. You go at the end of the room, you meet the product owner, the people who will decide what will be the next step, and you discuss with them, and you try to convince them that we should do this and this.
Yeah, and with regard to the previous question on the forum, actually the editor now I think is more fancy. You can double click in the text, and there are some slash shortcuts to make a block of code and insert an image, and there is some more fancy
there is always
editing.
the question, should it be like HTML with the HTML editor, or should it be like Markdown with a text format that is formatted? And I know his position. He wants to do the Markdown. I know the position of Fabien would be more inclined to do the HTML-like solution. So it will be, when we enable this feature, I'm sure there will be a lot of debate internally about how to implement it. Yes?
Hi. The question is right on, but is there any chance maybe to work using GitLab for Odoo SH to allow people to keep CI and CD on GitLab and not only rely on GitHub?
Yeah, it's something we wanted to do for a long time, but it's always we have something more urgent, so and it works with GitHub, so let's do it next year. But yes, it's planned, but it's not yet done. And if you want to push for it, you go to the Odoo SH stand and you push again, and they will tell you probably the same thing, but they want to do it, yeah. And we want to do it. We don't want to support only one system.
All right, another one from the pad, line 15. Are there any plans to support database point-in-time recoveries on odoo.com/odoosh?
Not yet. So what we have is you can trigger a backup. So you have daily backup, and before you apply a staging, we do a backup. But you can also trigger manually backups. But it's not exactly point-in-time recovery. So it's not yet planned.
Any questions from the audience? Then we'll move on to another question from the pad, line 17. Does Odoo 17 offer any enhancements for scalability and inventory management, specifically for handling large volumes of items tracked by serial numbers?
That's for you.
I think you should ask to the team.
Yeah, but you were part of the team and you did some performance
2 years ago, maybe, but I really don't know, and you should ask to the developer room.
So the idea is that if you find a bottleneck and you have a scenario, even with a lot of data, where you think it's too slow and we should improve it, you just open a ticket. We have a team dedicated to that, and they will try to optimize the code. And if it doesn't work, they go with the team and they. So we did a lot of work this year just to improve some use case. I remember that I think 6 months ago we had a partner meeting here in Belgium, and somebody came from the audience and give us a scenario that was slow, and Arnold was next to me, and we checked, and it's true, it was slow, and Arnold did a fix that day, and it was fixed. And the guy says, it's been 2 years that I think it's slow, and it was fixed in 1 day. So if you have an issue with a specific scenario, just go over there, discuss about the issue, and we will try to improve it.
One more question from the audience here. Give me a second to get to them.
Thank you. One last question. Is there maybe a roadmap for Odoo SH to be able to customize the backup retention for customers? Maybe about not running every 24 hours the backup, but every 4 hours, or customize this instead of
no,
only
and
daily manual backup?
So no, and the reason is that Odoo SH use the same backup system as all our infrastructure. It's one system, and we decided to have a daily 7 days, I don't know, weekly, I don't know how many days, how many weeks, and monthly 12 months or
4
something
weeks
like that.
and then 12 months, yes.
And so it's hard-coded in the system right now. And because it's one system that does everything, it would be difficult to implement it. So the answer is no, not no. Maybe in a distant future, but not yet.
Yeah, and we tend to avoid allowing too much customization on the area of backups because it creates a risk that customers may do something that is dangerous for their own good, and maybe change the backups and the way we do it or the frequency in a way that either compromises the stability of our systems or makes it risky for them to not have backup. So we tend to really avoid allowing any kind of customization in terms of when the backups are being taken, because we also replicate them 3 times in 2 different continents, and a cold backup in a different area. So it's there's a lot of fall down after you take a backup. There is a lot of things going on behind it.
Yeah, I select a question here, 21. Any plan to open source the upgrade script? So no, not the upgrade script, but the upgrade tools are open source today, I think, because they want to do a presentation about it tomorrow. So the tools that we use to make the script, they will be open source, but the upgrade script for our own application, no, it's part of Odoo Enterprise, and there is no plan yet to open source them. I would love to open source them. I would love to open source Enterprise because it would make life more simple, only one repository. But that's our business model. We chose it. It's an open core product, and it works well, and we probably will continue to do it this way.
Any questions from the audience?
Oh, you have another one
we
on
have
the
another
right
one over
there?
there. Yeah.
When upgrading to Odoo 17 from a previous version,
Yes.
how long would you wait to upgrade?
How long do you...
Like, can we upgrade today, or is
Yeah,
it recommended to
so
wait
you
a
will
bit?
be able to upgrade in test starting from next Monday. So the platform will be available, but in test, and we don't recommend you to use the test database after in production. And the reason we do that, because we want to eat your own dog food first. And if the food is poisoned, we will eat it, So we want to upgrade Odoo.com first. And once we've upgraded Odoo.com, and after 1 or 2 weeks, we feel comfortable and we say to all the people, okay, go for it. And probably we will upgrade our own database in January or something like that.
Beginning of next year.
Beginning of next year, and then we will... but you can already play with the upgrade platform and test it, starting from next week. Yeah. Because the scripts are ready. Because now when we develop a feature, we always develop the script in parallel. So all the scripts are done. But do they work perfectly? We will know for sure in January.
All right, we've got another interesting technical question on
Yes.
line 11. Multi-column indices can really speed up database accesses.
Yes.
Is there any plans to implement them in the ORM?
Because you can define them already.
Yeah.
It's just that you don't define them on fields. That's, I think, the question.
Obviously, yeah. So, yeah, maybe
we can find a syntax, but I think it's not very important because defining them manually in the code is quite easy.
Yeah,
so
you can already do them.
Yeah,
it's you can do it by
you can do it quite
overriding
easily,
init, but
and
we don't plan to.
And if I think about like syntax to do it, it would be okay. We use the same name across multiple fields. That would not be clear, I think. So I think we will keep the system like it is. But yes, it's very useful, and we use a lot of them in production on Odoo.com.
Questions from the audience? No? Then we've got another one from the pad.
Yeah.
Line 14. Every new version of Odoo brings better performance, new apps and clients are tempted to upgrade. But many customizations done in older versions need a lot of work to migrate. How can we write modules that make upgrades safe and manageable?
The best customization is the one that doesn't exist, right?
Yeah, that's a good answer. If you don't have customization, it's easier. But I don't think there is a silver bullet for that, because we don't want to restrict ourselves in making the product evolve. And the downside of that is that we break things and you have to adapt the code. So I think Odoo is getting a bit more stable and we break less API, but that's the trade-off. Everybody is happy to see the new feature, the product has evolved, every year. And the downside, the stuff to pay for that is that, it's difficult to maintain the customization that you do on Odoo.
Maybe you can still follow some good practices, best practices for writing your customizations, like properly using the modularity of the framework, the way we do it for Odoo in our own applications. Write modules that are not too invasive in the other modules, that don't change core aspects of the working of the system. The tables don't add the required columns on tables that are very used by other modules. Also write tests. If you have tests covering the different flows that you customize, it's going to be much easier to upgrade, because the test machinery, the test framework doesn't change that much over the years, so your tests are still going to run most likely in the next version, and that allows you to quickly iterate to fix your development. So maybe those are. And
it's funny because it's like I'm a guy and I have a small angel to the right and a devil there, because Olivier is very fond to keeping the compatibility, and Jerry and me and Fabien, we are more like, let's break things and move fast. So we have and maybe you have a comment about that.
Does it work?
Does it work?
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to comment on that. Just on one aspect, I like to break stuff and to do the best code now and not waiting for change.
And not thinking about what the legacy is.
Yeah, but at the same time, when I do a JavaScript training, for example, I always start by saying the first rule of customizing your interface in JavaScript is to do it in Python. So it's kind of a joke, but the message behind that is that if you can avoid doing JavaScript code, it's cheaper to have Python code, and maybe it's cheaper to have just XML. Maybe it depends on what you want to do.
Yeah, and when we hear this kind of quote, like the best customization that you can do for the UI, no, don't do it in JavaScript. It's very smart, and when I hear this kind of stuff, I say, okay, I'm surrounded with smart people, because they know, okay, I do this, but sometimes it's better not to use the work I do and do something else.
But actually, the framework is quite extensible, so you can define a related field, a computed field, and you can do a lot of stuff with just attributes and hiding and showing field in the form view, and you don't need much JavaScript for many use cases, and sometimes people don't realize that. And
probably he says that because he has a plan to break everything in JavaScript again, and he doesn't want people to blame him. Okay.
I have a follow-up question to that, actually.
Yep.
What about Studio? We've been told Studio is a good way of making changes to your Odoo database that are more stable.
Studio limits itself to adding fields. So adding fields is usually quite safe.
If you add something to Odoo, it's fine, in my opinion. If you modify the behavior of Odoo, it's kind of more dangerous, because you will encounter, you have like logic in your database, and it just counter to the logic in the code itself, so it may be more dangerous.
So if you just add field with Studio, probably you are safe. It's less invasive than changing the behavior of a method on sales order, etc. Yeah.
Any questions?
Other questions from the audience?
Then I've got another one from the pad, line 51. Are you planning on launching a library of OWL components?
Actually, that's one of the points on my personal roadmap. We have now completed the transition to OWL, the OWL framework for the
for everything in the backend. Yeah.
So now we are not in a rush anymore, and we're starting to look at our own components. For example, date picker, color picker, drop down, all of these components, and we're trying to look at the APIs and look at the way to make them generic and
generic
useful.
and outside of Odoo. Alors.
But not just outside of Odoo. For now, we just plan to put them in a folder in a web add-on,
okay,
and to make it useful for everyone. Now, it's a slightly different question. Do we plan to open source it in a different project? No plan to my knowledge for now, but who knows?
Okay.
All right. We see another.
Don't hesitate to raise your hand if you want to ask a question from the audience. But
we see a lot of questions.
Yeah,
on the
there is a lot of questions on the pad.
If you have a question that you are particularly interested in, add these little plus ones. Line 47, for example, has a little plus 1, so we can read that
okay,
one.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I was
so which one do I
scrolled,
take?
Like it just disappeared. Line 47. Are there any plans to improve unit of measure, like moving the conversion point from category to the product, taking a similar approach to packaging but extend it to the sales, purchasing, and MRP app?
Yeah, no, it's not planned, and the reason is that we want to keep the thing simple, probably. So there is no plan to do that. No. Another one.
In the audience, so another one from the pad. What do you think about using a technology like HTMX in Odoo?
I don't know what is HTMX. Do you know? We are. That's when you feel so. Old, you know.
Unfortunately,
you know what it is?
Oh, there is
HTMX. No, we don't know what it is.
There's a raised hand. Maybe you know.
Maybe they know.
Maybe.
I would have another question.
Oh. Okay.
Will we see full text search in version 18?
Full text search. Yeah, that's a good question.
It's not planned yet.
It's not planned, but we would love to do something, but there is no plan to do it.
A few discussion on that in the previous years, but nothing was.
Yeah,
ready.
because we wanted to be able to type something, and then you search also across multiple kind of objects. So you type a name, and it could be a sales order, it could be an invoice, etc. But we have no such thing yet, and every year we think a bit about it. But unless we find an elegant technical solution to do something, we would say no. Okay.
No audience questions, so another one from the pad. This one is popular apparently. Are there any plans to include some functionality to export studio customizations as a module, as code, to avoid logic duplication, like 53?
Well, I remember that it was asked the very first day we released Studio.
So what was the question?
The question was about is there a plan to export add-ons?
Yeah, but as code, not as data.
Yeah.
So you export your customization, but not XML files. You get a Python file with fields, and so you can work on it. No.
We had a task on that, but it didn't move much in 2 years.
It should not be very difficult to do, because when we have the export in XML, it's just a different template. So, but no plan yet.
Yeah, you pass it to ChatGPT and ask it to.
Yeah, maybe we can take the XML file, ask to convert it to fields. Another question?
No one from the audience, so another one from the pad. Line 8. To follow up on the last talk, why doesn't Odoo use containers more for workloads?
What do you mean? Actually, we use containers. So on the SaaS platform, we have the SaaS and Odoo SH. On the SaaS platform, everybody's running the same code, so we just run one server. So if we would use a container, it would be one physical server, one container, and that's all. And that's what we do with systemd, because we, sandbox a bit the process. But on Odoo SH, we actually use container because everybody is running his code, so we spawn a container for everyone. It's just that the container is not Docker or... Oh, somebody raised everything. The container is not Docker or Kubernetes, but it's the same technology. We use the Linux kernel directly, and we use namespace and... thank you. We use namespace and C groups, but it's container. So it's not that we are against container. We just say that if we don't need to add an extra layer of container, we don't do it.
Yeah, and it's the big difference in the SaaS is that it allows us to scale a lot higher the number of customers that we can host on a single machine. So it's the way Odoo is meant to be used in multi-tenant.
And of course, Nicolas likes to make some jokes, and that was a joke. Like, we don't want to talk about container when I'm next to him. It's not true, of course.
Do we have a question from the audience?
Maintenant?
Not right now. So another one from the pad. Why is a release done every year? If upgrading to that version would take more than 2 or 3 months.
Why is it every year?
Yeah.
It's historical. When we were on version 6, 7, it was not every year. And I think starting from 9 or 10, we had Odoo experience, so we wanted to present new features, so the release was there. And we say, okay, for the next one, can we do it on time for the next Odoo experience? It was successful. And then we decided to continue doing that. It's easy, you have one version per year.
But now we align our SaaS release on that number. So we have like 16.1, 16.2, or 3, 4.
So we have 4 or 5 interim release during the years, and it works well. So we don't have plan to change it.
Yeah, it's a good compromise because customers are looking for new features as well, and you don't want to wait 2 years or 3 years for the new features. So we have to move forward.
And we should have started that 5 years earlier, because the year would be the number of version of Odoo. Would be easy to remember.
Yeah, now it's -6.
Okay.
I'd like to answer the question 956.
Okay.
It's difficult to debug all components. Is there something to make it easier? And I want to say that yes, there is. We published an official Odoo all DevTool extension on Firefox and Chrome, so you can just download it and use it. It lets you look at all components and understand and profile them. You can do a lot of stuff. And there is a talk on that topic tomorrow morning, I believe.
What's the name of on the Chrome store?
All DevTools.
Of DevTools?
All DevTools.
Ah, yeah. So it's here.
Yeah, and there's a nice icon, you can see.
Yeah.
Look at the owl.
No more questions from the audience as far as you can tell, but plenty more on the pad. Line 58 actually. Is there any future plan to implement webhooks in a transparent way for integration with other platforms?
Actually, in the new version of Studio, you have a webhook feature where you can, without even developing something, you can configure a webhook. So on any trigger, you can say, please call this webhook, and so yeah, it's done actually.
Next one then, on line 9, a couple of people are pointing out that Odoo/Docker is slightly neglected. Is there any chance of their GitHub issues being looked at?
Yeah, so the issues, it's Docker, but even regular Odoo issues, we don't look at them. No, but it's true. But if you open it and then you open a ticket, you can mention it. But we look at pull request. But we don't look at issue because we have too much to do. So, and we have already the ticket system that is handling bug fixes. So I know that some teams, they look at it. It's on a voluntary basis. So if a team wants to take care of them, they can do it. But most of the team, they don't look at it and they just process the pull request.
On line 60, there is a question that implies that the community version is lagging behind. Would you like to address that, Claire?
16?
60.
60, okay, yeah. Why is it lagging behind? I don't think it's lagging behind. Now that we have a clear separation on which applications are in enterprise and which applications are in community, when an application is in community, it's of course fully supported and developed.
I think the framework teams work almost exclusively on the community version.
They only do community stuff.
Yeah, basically everything that we talked today, we talked about during this presentation, except the last question about Studio webhooks.
Yeah,
everything was in community basically.
So you have some application like knowledge. What else? Some fancy stuff that is in enterprise only, but the rest. Let's take for example e-commerce. Before you had coupon was in enterprise, but e-commerce was in community. So now e-commerce is in community. Everything about e-commerce and website is in community.
And of course,
and accounting, of course, is in enterprise. But that's part of the business model, because accounting is a really good trigger for people to move from community to enterprise. So we want to keep it. Yeah. Okay. So still one more question
from the audience.
Yeah.
Are there any plans to integrate GitHub into Odoo projects? So like projects.
I want that.
To like polls.
I think I remember at some time we had an integration between GitHub and Discuss Mail at the time, but we removed it. So I wish for it.
I really want that feature.
So yeah, maybe one day, but it's not a priority. And at the moment, what we do, we just cut and paste link, from GitHub to the task. Yeah. So yeah, maybe one day. Before we take the final question, I want to explain that you had some people who came here for the Odoo Dev Days, because the idea was to bring people that are not from the community of Odoo to learn and discover Odoo. And those people, they receive a special bracelet, I think a gray bracelet. So I just want to explain them that we have something to eat for them at the end of this presentation there. You are also welcome to stay. There is some chips over there. And they are welcome to the party afterwards, to the Palais 12 for the closing party. So let's take one last question.
Like, I will let you choose.
Okay.
If you've got one that you already
No, because there is so many questions that.
Then I've got one about Odoo SH. Are there any plans to revamp the Odoo SH structure? For example, the utilization of workers, but this can be generalized to more like a roadmap for upcoming features for Odoo SH. That is on line 25.
So we have a lot of plans for Odoo SH, but we don't have huge plan to change the architecture of Odoo SH. Most of the stuff is small details that we want to polish. And if you want the list of those details, we have a lot of tasks. If you ask Fabien, he has a to-do list with this, and you can discuss with him at the stand over there. Also, so we will close this session now, but we are available. We are at the end of this hall over there. So if you have any further question or you think about something, don't hesitate to come meet us over there and ask us anything during those 3 days. And I wish you a very good Odoo experience. See you. Thank you.
J'ai envie d'appeler ce truc.
Ouais. Pas beaucoup de questions, trucs. Hein. En fait, s'il n'y a pas de questions,